welcome back to the Aquifer. I'm Ted Bennett. In this video, I'm going to teach you a little bit about a method that I use when I'm developing the scope of inflow or infiltration, or maybe a sewer structural repair project for sanitary sewers. So here I'm going to talk about my target-specific inflow and infiltration rehabilitation method. Here's a picture of me exiting a pump station. Side story, this is the dirtiest drywall I have ever been in, and it was worse than any wet well. But beside that point, what is the secret here to removing I&I? There really is not. It is just hard work. There's certainly no magic in this. Basically, this process was developed over a 6-year period, doing 6 different projects for a variety of different communities. And we've inspected something like 1,000 laterals, and we have repaired nearly 200 laterals. And as far as mainline work, we're looking at something like 165,000 feet of pipe. So it's a fairly good-sized project, mostly the small stuff, 8 to 15 inch. And what kind of methods did we look at on these jobs? We did everything from replacement to cured-in-place pipe, mainline grouting, which did represent a very significant portion of the work that I have done on this kind of thing. As always, you're going to have your point repairs, your dig-ups and fixes, and then sort of a variety of work on manholes using lining, grouting, sort of replacement. And then lateral repair work, with anything and everything from sectional lining, T-liners, vacatees, and some grouting also as well. What was the total cost? We've spent clients that I've worked with have spent almost $6 million doing this work. So as you can tell, these do add up, but the results in the outcomes. What weather peaks, in a lot of the cases, we've seen up to 40% reduction. So this does work. You just have to be sort of persistent about it. And the one thing that is really cool is we've seen like 25 to up to 50% dry weather flow reductions. So what are we doing here? Basically, we're trying to come up with ways to spend limited dollars that sort of communities have on sewer rehab work, and to go out and fix the problems that are really problems, and not be spending money on things that aren't as bad as others. And we're trying to sort of tailor the repairs to what we find in the system. So how do we do that? Here's a picture of me looking in a manhole. Yes, that's part of what I do on a daily basis, is popping manholes and just sort of looking around. So there's no substitute for getting out of your truck or office and kind of just looking around and seeing what you can figure out. Looking at that manhole, it's got open pick holes, so maybe that's something to consider. What we're generally doing is we're going to go out and we're going to tell the client, hey, I think you need to televise these sewers. If you think you have a problem, you don't know until you go and you look, and you don't know what the problems are until you look. We've had clients that have done rehab jobs that we've gotten involved with where they didn't do the CCTV work on the front end, and unfortunately, those jobs didn't turn out very good. Sometimes we were doing construction management of someone else's work, and we're like, "Where's the videos?" And they're like, "We don't have them." How'd you know you need to line it? Well, we just thought it was bad. Well, that's really not the best approach. Is you need to go out and try to figure out what the problems are before, and then you can scope these jobs right. And it's not as sort of hostile. Here in this picture, you can see there's some kind of like wrinkle in the inside of this pipe. I think we're actually looking at truss pipe here, and we've kind of lost the inside layer of concrete, but this is not leaking, so I'm not concerned with that. From a water standpoint, structurally, it depends upon the extent. Maybe that's an issue, maybe not. Kind of depends on looking at the whole system. With these jobs, we really are focusing on I&I reduction. We've been sort of tasked with addressing, the I&I problems. Here's a lateral. Clearly the typical sort of lateral sewer interface, we've lost all that. Good candidate for perhaps a T-liner, something like that. Maybe we try grouting it. Again, we've got a ton of roots coming down this lateral, so we've got some problem with a joint or a crack that's allowed the roots to get in the sewer. If roots can get in, I can almost guarantee you that water gets in. So we're going to try to tackle something like this with our project as we review these CCTV reports. Now, these are kind of interesting. You try to rate these things and try to figure out, well, what's the problem here? While I said we are focused on, I&I, structural issues are sort of a lesser problem if they don't look like there's going to be some sort of impending failure. Here, I don't see that this is leaking. Structurally, it's not great. We've got an offset joint, but if this isn't holding debris or causing some kind of major catastrophe, we're going to mark this for future. Probably going to get this with another project because we're going to try to spend our money on things like this where there could be a potential for a collapse. Maybe we want to do a sectional liner. If this is all throughout the pipe, we might say, okay, maybe we want to go ahead and line the whole thing. If it's really bad, we might even go ahead and just replace the whole thing. Clearly these aren't the same run, so we've got sort of maybe issues that aren't widespread. This one is bad. This is one that, depending on how extensive this issue is, this might be a replacement. As you kind of look, this is certainly a structural issue. It looks like the sewer's not very straight as we look down the pipe too. So this is getting to the end of service life, and something that we might go ahead and replace. But if it's only this little short section, we might go ahead and reline it. Obviously, what's above grade is going to have some say on that as well. Here, like I said, our focus is on trying to get these inflow and infiltration sources taken care of. And I say inflow is tricky to find on CCTV work. You're going to probably have to do some smoke testing or some other methods to try to find inflow, like flooding the trenches or filling up catch basins with dyed water, dying downspouts, flooding yards, that sort of thing. Here, this is going to probably be a sectional liner. If it's just one individual joint, when I say sectional liner, I'm talking about like a 4-foot long liner that would go just along a short section of a main. These cost maybe these days, $4,000 or $5,000 for a smaller diameter, 8 or 10-inch pipe. But it's significantly cheaper than lining the whole pipe. We didn't always have that solution, so that's something else to consider. We looked at, number 3 here is flow concerns, and that really has so far stayed down in the priority issues. It looks to me like we might be underwater here, or maybe the pipe is out of round for sure. We have so far not chosen to address these with this targeted method because, we really want to spend our money on like I&I reduction, and it doesn't look to me like we've got a flow problem here because the invert's pretty clean. So we might have sort of a belly, but we're not picking up debris. So things like this have sort of fallen off, at least in being pushed back to a future project. And here's a big spider in the sewer, and we're not going to take care of that, but that's kind of fun. And we have found a lot of fun things in the sewer. We've seen baseballs and laterals. We've seen Legos, kids' toys, whatever. So a lot of what we do is this. We go through the videos, we mark up plans, kind of highlighting spreadsheets and trying to color code things and figure out what goes where. And by doing that, we're trying to scope out similar work. We're going to try to find a project that has a lot of the same thing. Is it grouting? Is it lining? Is it lateral work? We're going to try to build those projects up individually because you'll find that you get a better price from contractors who specialize in one type of thing. A lot of what we have done here on these jobs, and I'll kind of highlight the sewer grouting method because I think everybody's pretty familiar with the other things of cured in place or full-on replacement or even the sectional lining that I talk about. This is the same joint, and we're sort of coming at it in two directions here. I think they had the camera kind of in both directions while they were doing this. Here you can see this lateral, this main line is leaking pretty bad. And after they're done grouting it, there's no leak at all. So this grout's pretty cool. Kind of looks like Ninja Turtles slime from back when you were a kid. But they've got some dye in here so they can show it going in. And we've had really good luck with these grouting projects. It's something that I've been very pleasantly pleased with what we have found there. And so like I said, the wet weather peak flows, we have seen up to 40% reduction after doing these projects. Are they one phase? No, not necessarily. People say, well, hey Ted, what's the silver bullet for doing these jobs? And well, I think it's having more than one silver bullet. I think it's having a whole belt of them. A lot of times we'll fix the mains, and while we're fixing the mains, we're gonna be looking at the laterals. On one project, we launched all the laterals, after we did the mains, and then we found out, well, the laterals started leaking, and after we fixed the laterals, well, then the manhole started leaking. So really, at the end of the day, you're probably going to end up doing all three, or at least two out of three of those infrastructure components. uh, and I guess the one thing that I've taken away from doing these jobs is the dry weather flow reduction. This is the one that I think has the real big impact. The wet weather numbers are cool and they're exciting, and it's neat to see. But the dry weather flow reductions are, this is the one that I think kills systems and they don't even know it. It's sort of like having high blood pressure. If we were to reduce the dry weather flow by like 24%, imagine that every day, every single day, every pump that you have in your system is now been reduced in how much it runs by 24%. I think that's an amazing result. And the other thing that we've done is we've gone back. I like to do flow monitoring before a project of these kinds, if we can. I mean, obviously, budget might not allow it, and it's certainly not imperative, because sometimes it's like, we've got a problem. Does it really matter how bad it is? I mean, we know it's a problem. We don't need to go out and quantify it. So if they've done flow monitoring before, I like to do flow monitoring afterwards. And this is kind of a cool number. I don't know what it means, like in the big picture. We've only been at this for a little while, but at some point, we'll have a good number here. And does this feel like the right number? It does to me. I mean, it seems like we're in the right magnitude. So, almost 50 cents a gallon is the cost to eliminate a gallon of infiltration. So that's construction costs per gallon. So, like I said, hey, there's no magic here, just hard work. You're gonna have to go out and just do a lot of looking around. You've got to do the legwork. So that's the secret. Again, hey, thanks for watching this video. I look forward to your comments. Hey, thanks for watching this video on sewer rehab. For me, sewer rehab is something that I got into from pump stations, which is a lot of what I talk about here on the aquifer. But a lot of times a client will call me up and say, "Hey Ted, I've got a pump problem I need you to look at." And normally what I'll do as part of a pump station renovation is I'm going to look at your influent flow rates, or I'm going to look at your hour meters, maybe a flow meter if you've got one. I want to see that data. I want to know what is coming at your pump station. And in a lot of cases, I've looked at the data and been able to determine that, yeah, you've got a pump problem, but you've got a pump problem caused by your influent flow rates. You've got inflow or you've got infiltration coming at you. And I think we should go and look at your collection system first. I don't want to do this pump station and you be unhappy with the result, because no matter how big a pump station I design for you, it's not going to be big enough, because pumping groundwater is not something that sanitary sewer pump stations are designed to do. So this is like, I always use the analogy of, if your roof is leaking, you don't want to go and get a bunch of buckets or just keep getting buckets to capture more rain to increase the so-called capacity of your rainwater management system. What you do is you go and you fix the leak. And that's what we do with these sewer rehab jobs, is we go and fix the sewer at the source, and keep that water out of the collection system altogether. So basically, if we can keep it out, we never even have to pump it. And that's sort of the goal here. That sometimes we'll take a step back from that pump station project and go and try to do the right project in the right order. So if we can make the flows a little bit less during, say, wet weather, maybe the pump station can be downsized a little bit. I think you've really you've spent good money at that point, because now you fixed a problem and you didn't just move a problem further down in your collection system. So I hope you find that as kind of an interesting little journey that I took to go from pump station design into sewer rehab work. But as you'll find in this world, in the collection systems, that everything is sort of interconnected one way or another. So like always, hey, thanks for checking out the video. I really appreciate all the feedback that I'm getting from you guys. And I look forward to putting some more content out for you, either here on Twitter or LinkedIn or kind of wherever. So send me some feedback. I would love to talk to you guys about the videos that I'm putting out, or maybe some other videos that you'd like to see. So like always, I'll sign off with my normal hey, have a great day.